Senna.
Pals!
What's going on, everybody? I am Jaby and Koay, joined by Achara.
What's up?
This is our non-spoiler review for Superman, the 2025 film. Thanks so much for joining us. I would like to kick things off with a quick non-spoiler, super non-spoiler brief on what happens in the film. Superman has to fight Lex Luthor. I feel like if I say any more than that, I'm ruining the movie. It's like you got what you got from the commercial. That's enough of the premise that you need.
Okay.
Honestly, like, you're familiar with Superman. You've probably watched other Superman films or cartoons or read the comics. You have enough to go off of. I don't want to give away anything else that you haven't already seen in the commercial.
And we did see in the commercial as well, Crypto is there.
Yes, we did. That's very emphasized.
And that there are also a whole bunch of other superheroes out and about doing things.
Yes.
So that's out there.
Yes.
As well.
First and foremost, I would like to say I strongly recommend the film if you're just trying to figure out whether or not it's worth it to pay the price of admission. This is one of the best comic book films I've ever seen, hands down.
Yeah.
One of the mission statements of James Gunn was he wanted to bring comic books to life in the way that he felt when he was reading comic books.
Yeah, and specifically Superman.
Right. When I was watching it, I don't know that I necessarily had that feeling, but I did feel the other thing he was aiming for, which is hope.
Yes.
That definitely came through for me.
It's funny when you said that, I felt a little prickle of a tear coming at the back of my eyes. Yes, this movie is so hopeful. And I feel like it's so needed at this time where so much is going on in the world. It's just lovely to have a movie that is a bit of escapism, but that also reminds us the goodness of humanity.
Right. You know, one of the first things that's going to happen, I think, is you're going to see people comparing it to the Zack Snyder version of Superman. A while back, I had kind of read a little article on Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder's aim with that franchise and that series of films was, what would it be like if gods were among us? And I think that he actually did accomplish that. This Superman is arguably the most vulnerable Superman you will have ever seen. And that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing for someone like me, because I have long wanted to see a Superman that felt more human and vulnerable and accessible, and you definitely get that in spades here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole movie feels closer to the Christopher Reeve film, and even the portrayal by David Corenswet was very close to Christopher Reeve's, but still he made it his own. And like you said, he was really vulnerable and human. And after watching the film, I was like, is he my favorite Superman?
Okay.
He might be my favorite Superman. And that's saying a lot because we've had a whole bunch.
We might be jumping the gun here just a smidgen, but I'll go with you on this and see where we go. For me, I don't think he's better than Christopher Reeve. However, I think he's great. I think that you have a spectrum of someone who is very hard and badass, which would be Henry Cavill, and then you have very vulnerable David Corenswet, and in the middle, you get Christopher Reeve. I think Christopher Reeve strikes that balance in a way that no one else has matched yet, but that's okay, that we have that version.
We have that version.
Done.
And I love him.
Yeah,
I love him as Superman
Yeah.
as well, and he'll always hold a special place in my heart.
Yeah. This one decided to lean more in the direction of humanity and hope for humanity, and I think, kind of like what you said, echoing, you know, those sentiments. We've gotten a ton of films and a ton of shows that feel very dark, hopeless, and just sad. And there's so much content in abundance like that to complement the news that also feels like that. And so to have a film that just rubber bands in the opposite direction is such a joy and a relief and a breath of fresh air, given the aforementioned. David Corenswet is perfectly cast as that person, as that version of Superman. And equally, I really liked Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. I thought that she was fantastic. When I first saw her in the commercials, I really wasn't sure like why her, but I was also not familiar with her work.
Yeah.
And seeing the way they played off of each other, I was like, oh, okay. But especially by the end of the film, I'm like, I get it. She's perfect.
Yeah, like she's such a great Lois Lane. Like she has that super intelligent reporter type of vibe, asking the difficult questions, but also being extremely empathetic at the same time. But still, you know, she's out there for the truth.
She's aggressive.
She's aggressive. As she should be, because Lois Lane always is.
Yeah. Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, I thought was so interesting. The version of Lex Luthor that Nicholas Hoult and I suppose with James Gunn together sought to achieve feels like what Zack Snyder wanted to do with Batman v Superman, Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. This felt like, oh, that was the target, that's what he wanted, and here's why they actually pulled it off. For me, that was my feeling watching it. I thought that Nicholas Hoult did a fantastic job. There's not a single instance I've watched Nicholas Hoult and been disappointed. I know that your feelings are slightly different than mine, but overall, like, I actually really dug his portrayal of Lex Luthor.
Yeah, it took me a minute to get on board with the Nicholas Hoult Lex Luthor, to be fair. But by the end, I was like, yeah, I get it.
One more mention I feel like is absolutely necessary before we shift into other discussions about the movie is Michael Hoult, Mr. Terrific, who's played by Eddie Gathegi. I'm not familiar with his work.
He's been in so many things that we've watched, and he was also Darwin in X-Men First Class.
Yeah, it didn't click.
Yeah, he's one of those guys who has a face where you're like, I feel like I've seen you, but I can't place you. And then you look at his body of work and you're like, wow, he was also in Twilight as Laurent.
Oh, okay. Now I'm remembering him. The reason why I'm emphasizing him right now is because Mr. Terrific steals the show. He comes in and you're like, well, damn.
Yeah.
It's the most unexpected thing, the way he just decisively steals the movie. He just happens to be the coolest character.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, he is terrific.
He's definitely terrific.
Yeah. Nathan Fillion as well. I'll give him a shout out.
Nathan Fillion was
while we're
definitely
doing that,
strong. Yes.
Who played Green Lantern / Guy Gardner.
Yeah.
He was great as well. But we expect that of him. We know him. Right. And his brand of comedy. And speaking of comedy, there was a lot of that too.
Well, I guess we can shift into talking about, James Gunn and his style and his approach in general. So the first film I remember of James Gunn that I saw is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. That was my first experience that I can recall with James Gunn and the music and the style and the comedy and the action. This is probably my favorite film from James Gunn since Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Action mixed with comedy mixed with heart. And it definitely goes more in the direction of heart and the drama that's associated with achieving heart.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I cried in some of the Guardian of the Galaxy movies, but there was something about Superman that definitely felt a lot more emotional for me on so many levels. And I think a lot of that was not just with the subject matter, and of course that helped, but with David Corenswet's acting. Because he always had that sense of vulnerability and humanity towards him.
The thing that I noticed, and I thought about it on the drive over here, is that the film felt very personal.
Yeah.
It felt personal in a way that I wasn't expecting, and I think it actually makes the movie better. Because oftentimes, I think that what's happening, at least in the past, is just being faithful to the source material, and that's that. You're just trying to adapt that to the screen and not do anything more with it. You're just trying to give the audience exactly what that story is in the most manageable way possible. Whereas this felt like James Gunn wanted to tell a Superman story authentically, but he also wanted to really make it personal and make it his own. And whether it's through what is being focused on in the story, how they navigate the story, or some of the jokes, it felt like a very personal Superman film, and I liked it all the more for it.
I just had a thought.
Okay.
You know how you were saying that Zack Snyder, his approach was what if gods walked among us?
Yeah.
And he definitely achieved that goal. I feel like James Gunn's approach was, what if we humanized Superman? The contrast is there. It's the complete opposite, but I really like it.
I agree with that take. Yeah, because he definitely felt more human. He definitely felt like a person, especially because I'm so used to Henry Cavill's version of Superman that feels like a god among us. The closest I feel like we've gotten to this version of Superman in the last 10 years is the TV show, where it feels like a person.
Yeah.
That we're actually watching right now.
Right. Yeah. Usually that side of him is explored more in television.
Right.
You don't really get that as much in the movies.
It definitely took time to give us that. I would say in not the very first 5 minutes, but after that, the first 15 minutes is really focusing on Superman as a person. Who is this guy? How does he think? How does he feel? How does he react to things going on in the world? There's a lot of emphasis placed on that. The thing I'm thinking of went on for a while, and I was like, well, we're really spending time on this aspect of things. And I think that while I noticed how long it was spending on developing that, it was important, and it actually helps you through the rest of the film.
Yeah, you know exactly who he is, you know what's important to him, what he stands for. It feels so real, even though it's taking place in this world where there are superheroes and things going on that are not what's happening here exactly?
I think the other thing that will get compared to the previous Superman will be the action. And I'll say this much, like the action with Superman didn't necessarily like stick out in my mind as something I need to go back and watch specifically. It was more just like the experience on the whole was strong.
Yeah.
And the action was always at the service of the story, which is important. When I watched Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, I really, really liked certain moments of the action. On the whole, I didn't love the movie. And I've always been consistent about that. Like the movie as a whole, it's okay. But I love the action in it, especially the DBZ kind of action. Here, the action was strong, but like, again, Mr. Terrific stole the show, so the most memorable action for me came from him. But like Superman's, all his action was just helping the story, which is great. I feel like that's gonna take you forward for the next 20 to 50 years more than, that was a cool action sequence.
Absolutely. And I think the rewatchability factor of this is so high because of the reason that you said. It's like just the experience, just the feeling that you get in your heart when you're watching it. It's like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Superman's great. The supporting characters are great. You just want to hang out with them more. And we didn't mention Crypto. I'm sorry, that dog is so freaking cute.
Yeah, he was awesome. There were so many instances where he just looked so real and lifelike. Other instances I could tell he was CG. Speaking about CG, like for the most part, all of it looked great. There was nothing in the film I can remember where I thought to myself, oh, that looks ropey. Most of it was like all very strong and at the service of the story in a great way. All around, it did everything a great comic book movie should do. Is it perfect? No. There are definitely things that I feel like kept it from being a perfect film, but I can't really dive into that until we get into spoilers and until I watch it a second time. I want to watch it once more just to verify and validate my feelings for myself before I dive into that.
It was an excellent movie. Like, very, very, very good.
I would own it on 4K Blu-ray.
Yeah.
If that gives you, and I don't buy as many 4K Blu-rays these days unless it's like a classic that I want to own. I would buy this on 4K Blu-ray if that gives you a sense as to like how I felt about the movie.
We always buy tickets to the movies, even though we often get invited to the screenings.
Just in case we're forgotten.
Just in case, you know? Sometimes if we watch a movie and we don't love it, I'll say, hey, Jaby, it's okay. We can cancel those tickets.
Even if we enjoyed it, sometimes we cancel the tickets just because of time.
Right.
But this is one we're going to make time for.
That I'm like, as soon as it finished, I was like, hey, Jaby, we definitely like got those tickets, right?
Yes.
Because I want to watch it again, like right now.
No, I get you. I had the same feeling. I wanted to watch it again. I mean, it definitely has a damn near perfect runtime. I actually wish it was longer. I suppose that's something I can convey. I wish that the movie was longer to give me more time on certain things. The movie kind of throws you into things and you have to fill in some of the blanks.
It's a different thing because I think a lot of the time the movies kind of cover where he comes from and like his origin. James Gunn is like, listen, I know you guys know where he comes from. I know you know the backstory, so we don't need to cover those broad strokes. Boom. You're thrown into the middle of the story. You know what's going on. And if you don't, you'll figure it out real quick. And you do.
It's just that because this is a different kind of Superman in more ways than one, I was like, oh, I could use a few more minutes like in certain areas just to like, you know, breathe a little bit. But it comes in at like a tight 2 hours, right?
Something like that, yeah.
I mean, it moves. The movie moves. There's no fat. Like,
I mean, honestly,
not one bit of fat in this movie.
I feel like it's a perfect blockbuster. In the battle of the summer blockbusters, I feel like Superman is coming out strong.
I wish we got more time with his family. It's like,
oh yeah,
you know, like because like his family is emphasized in the film, but like I wanted to feel more things with his family, which I did not. You know, the very last thought I wanted to share, and I'm saving this for the very end because it can be read as ever so slightly as a spoiler. I don't think it is. I'm like 90% confident this is not a spoiler, but I'm gonna tuck it here at the end of the video so that in case you want to leave. Our feelings are quite positive. Like that much is so abundantly clear. I strongly recommend it. It was a lot of fun. It's definitely a perfect summer blockbuster film, and I can't wait to watch it again. The last thing I want to say is, when the film was ending, I was trying to like articulate like what is this feeling, because the end of the film, which I'm not going to tell you what it is, the end of the film, it felt unlike other superhero films for me. And I'm like, what is this feeling? Because it feels familiar, but it doesn't feel like It doesn't feel like Marvel. It doesn't feel like DC. It doesn't feel like anything else that I've watched. What is this? And I realized just a few days ago, it feels like Pixar.
Aww.
That's what the feeling is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you just feel like warm and cuddly inside with slight emotional damage. Yeah.
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 Overall, I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was fantastic. It's definitely worth rewatching, and so I can't wait to go back and see it again. Like I said, like there's definitely some clunky bits in the movie. Hopefully the spoiler discussion doesn't suddenly make it feel like a negative review, because that's sort of the effect that happens sometimes. It's like you can't get it all out.
Right.
And then when you finally get it all out, then people think you hate the movie. It's like, no, I said the positive things right over here. Just
I love the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel really excited for James Gunn's DC universe.
Yes.
This is a terrific, pun intended, start. And yeah, I'm just really looking forward to the direction that he takes DC going forward.
In case you didn't see our thoughts and feelings video, I'm going to leave you guys with this. Every time we do a review, we get asked by certain companies, hey, can you give us like a short blurb of what you felt? And sometimes I ask, are you sure? Because I didn't love it. And I'll tell them straight up, I'm like, if you want me to tell you, I'll tell you. I didn't love it though. And they'll go, we gotta know, you just tell us. I go, okay, here are my feelings. And so when people will call us shills, I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like
You don't know the messages that Jaby has been sending to the teams over there.
Yeah, but anyway, here was my response when they asked me for my little blurb. The new 2025 Superman is a beautiful and moving update to the classic superhero we've all known since we were little kids. It's a level of vulnerability rarely experienced in superheroes, especially Superman. Despite the immense pressure of the gargantuan task of rebooting the DCU, James Gunn managed a complex balance of heart, action, comedy, joy, and hope. It sought to bring us back to a place of innocence while entertaining us, and it succeeded. So on that, you guys, thanks so much for hanging with us. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Let us know your feelings in the comments below. What a super ending to the Superman review. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
Achara Cook.
Peace out.